Hey, Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the Media Co. and the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. Man of the People, coming to you live from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, as the Carolina Panthers just got smacked pretty bad. We're going to talk about this. Hopefully you not see too many people run into me. It's one of the it's like the agony of defeat, right? You go through seeing an embarrassing game like you see today, and then you come down on the field to do your post-game show, and then they have fans like literally running around you, going to be all in your shot. But, you know, it is what it is. At most other stadiums, they only have half the field where they allow fans to come on afterwards. But here in New England, it's the entire field. And, yeah, slight grouch but nevertheless, we are going to get into it. We're going to talk about this Carolina Panthers shellacking by the New England Patriots. Final score in this game, Carolina Panthers 13, New England Patriots 42. I don't know the math quickly. I'm a little not happy about it, but nevertheless, it's like a 60-point swing, right? You go from a 30-0 victory over the Atlanta Falcons last week, and then you get beat 42 to, is it 13? Yeah, 42 to 13 today. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to have some highlights from it. Let me just make sure that all is well here. Give me a second to make sure that all is well with comments and things like that going on. I don't feel like everything is on, so just give me a moment to make sure that we are as good as I think we are. So just got to verify two things quickly here. Could not verify it there. So for those that are tuning in, if you are tuning in and you're able to see and hear me okay, then please confirm. Just want to make sure that things are good before I get too much into the show. Because right now it does not look like everything is up, but we're going to verify. All right, so we are looking good on one place there. And let me just make sure one other thing, and then we're just going to go ahead and dive into it. And making sure we are good in our other place. All right, we are good. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's see if we can just start with some photographs from today's game. Let's see if we can go that route. Tough game today. Our photographer, Patrick Snyder, always does a wonderful job of grabbing photographs from the game action today. As I wait for this to come up, I'm going to tell you overall, you know, as you saw there in the subject line, the title for this video, firings, changes, what will they be? Are they needed? And I say after 4 games, you're now 1-3. You did have one good game. But after that one good game, you had about as complete opposite of a 180 game as possible. You had multiple points of failure, obviously, when you lose by that many points. And I think from leadership, you know, from Coach Canales, from Dave Tepper, if you want to go all the way to the top, you don't have to say right now today there's going to be a full sweeping change for this organization. But you have to say there's a standard that we have here in Carolina. There's a way that we want to operate. And, you know, Canales, I don't think should be – I won't say should not be in trouble. His seat could have some heat under it. But I think you got to make some changes to let people know, like, this isn't acceptable what we're doing. We need to make some changes to this. And I think that needs to start happening for anybody that's affiliated with all this to have some confidence that we're going to have some changes. So let's go ahead and start to look at some of the photographs from today. Here we go. We got Bryce Young not looking the happiest. He was, as you know, benched later on in the game today for it's probably not even fair to say bench, but he was set down in order for Andy Dalton to come in there and take over. Bryce had a good start. Like this entire team, I can't say this entire team, this entire offense had a good start. That first series, looked good. I mean, they were switching it up between the run. They were switching it up between the pass. And they had a lot of chunk plays. I didn't have a chance to calculate the exact number of yards, but it seemed like they were averaging like 10-plus yards between running and passing. And here to my left is where the Carolina Panthers scored their first touchdown, went up 7-0. And you had to think, I definitely thought, like, okay, we've won this game, but, this is going to be a pretty decent game today. And as you know, after that, it went pretty south. So we're going to continue to look at some of the pictures from the game today and go through what our great photographer was able to capture. Let's go here to this picture of our quarterback, Bryce Young, a little bit under pressure there, as he did a good job, in my opinion, making moves and avoiding sacks. But the decision that he made as he moved around was pretty bad. Continue to move through things, and my computer's going a little slow. But here's what happened in this game today. Carolina Panthers scored the first 7. Well, how about that? It's the habit is to say first 7 points. The Carolina Panthers scored the first 6 points. And then the New England Patriots scored a whopping, amazing, take your heart out and step on it, 42 unanswered points. Utterly ridiculous. And it was all kick-started by that punt return, which had some missed tackles. He had a little misdirection. That wall was built easily for him to go to the other side. Ran it, 88 yards for the touchdown. And from then on, that uppercut, that jab, whatever you want to call it, that punch by the New England Patriots was too much for this Carolina Panthers team, and they did not recover at all from that. But, yeah, so there's one of those touchdowns that started the run by the New England Patriots. And I know you guys may say, Chris, why are you showing us all of these New England highlights? Well, unfortunately, that is what happened today. A lot of New England highlights. Here you go. Their tight end running, scoring on one of the many touchdowns by them today. Like I said, Bryce, in my opinion, did good working around all the pressure that he did get today, but he was under pressure. And I see one comment here from Edward Smith. I'm going to just throw this up here. It randomly sticks out at me. He missed a lot of throws. Yeah, we're going to go through the stats here in just a second. Bryce did start off looking sharp. He did start off solid. I think he might have been perfect, 7 for 7, 6 of 7 on that first drive. And then it just went downhill from there. All right, 1 second, guys. I had to take a little drink of water here. We're going to continue to run through it all. And if my photographer's listening, don't worry, buddy. I'm not going to go through these faster than you're getting them to me. There's a lot to talk about here. But I just saw a comment here from one of our members I'm going to throw up on here really quickly. And for life, I'm sick of being a Panthers fan, Chris. I feel like I have more energy and passion for this team than the players do. I'm going to tell you guys, and I think, did you appreciate the tone in which I talk and cover this Carolina Panthers team? It's not only exhausting for fans, it's exhausting for media, right? Travel to New England, nice weather, good atmosphere, and you just want to be able to hold your head a little high as you're leaving. And I have not been able to hold my head high after leaving a city in quite a while. And I just say that as a member of the media, right? So you got to think, these guys putting on these jerseys, putting on these helmets and strapping up and actually playing out here on this field, you either got to be extremely beyond pissed off, breaking lockers, throwing tables, flipping chairs, or you just got to adjust and be like, all right, I mean, what do you want me to do? I'm just one player, right? I'm not saying that I want them to have either attitude, but there's only two ways that you go through something like that. You say, I'm pissed off, and you knock over everything because it's maddening. Or you say, like, what can I do? Right? So I feel you, Am, for life. It is tough. You know, a lot of people had some optimism, like, hey, if we win today, certainly didn't think you'd have a score like this, but if we win today, hey, we got two winnable games coming up at home. We got Miami. Dallas could be tough, may not be tough, but it seems like it could be a winnable game. Then we'll go up to New York and play the Jets. Right? You think maybe we could pull off a few victories, get on the plus side of 500, but today, nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. Don't think I threw this one up yet. If I did, I apologize. But here is Chuba Hubbard getting in some runs. And in just a second here, we're going to go through over the stats of everybody. All right, I guess Bryce Young was under a little bit of pressure today. Maybe he was under a little bit of pressure today. Bryce Young here getting hit, getting the ball out. We'll go over the complete numbers. Because I'll tell you, it was hard to watch. And let's continue to go through some of these. You got Rico Dowdle getting taken down here, getting stopped. And unfortunately, hold up, I didn't quite get it on there. Give me just a second, guys. And then here you got yet another touchdown by the New England Patriots. Again, folks, I got to show you the action as it took place. I don't like showing you all of these New England highlights, but if I did not show you all these New England highlights, I would be lying to you and telling you the story of the game today. So I know this is going to be a tough ask, but we're still trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, right? Our next plateau that we want to reach is 15,000. So I know it's tough, fans, but I'm going to keep bringing you the news regarding this Carolina Panthers team. So if you don't mind, if you're enjoying this moment to vent and release with your boy, hit that subscribe button just for me. Not for, if anything else, just for me. Help us continue to grow, because whether they win or losing, we're going to try to bring you all the news, all the highlights from the game. So hopefully you guys can appreciate that, and we'll continue to grow. How about the Charlotte native Drake May? Got a victory today. Patriots got their first home victory. And there's the Charlotte native Drake May celebrating after his touchdown today. And you know, did you see him get in? If you didn't see him get in, there's Drake May crossing into the end zone, showing the ball. And then we also have, unfortunately, now, let me close some of these out here. And one second. The good and the bad and the good, the unfortunate. Injuries happen all the time in the NFL. We got some injuries that I'm going to go over and talk about. Man, we got banged up today. And I still say this, the banged up is not anywhere near an excuse, an alibi, a reason that we lost this game like we did today. I don't care. All you need is our bodies out there to be losing games 42-13. You don't need much, right? But unfortunately, we did have quite a few injuries today, and this one happened on the first play of the game. It was a successful play that honestly I'm not the biggest fan of, but it did work. This was wide receiver David Moore leaving the field on the cart. The cart came out pretty quickly for him, and he did not return to the game with an elbow injury. It was another image of David leaving the field where he had a thumbs up. Just let you know that I guess he was, in pain, but nothing too severe for him to continue to deal with. And we just got a few more pictures here. And I am happy that the players, I shouldn't say the players, the people are no longer on the field behind me. Yay! Where's my sound effects at? Yay! Let's hit the applause button. Yay! Because it was dangerous. Keys out here throwing the balls. All right, let's see. Trying to get a few more images up to share with you guys. Then we're going to go over Coach Canales' press conference. And then we're going to go through some stats. All right. Here we go. We need these guys right here. Tommy Tremble. When I say we need these guys, I'm talking about tight ends because we finished the game with 3 wide receivers and I believe just 3 tight ends. And I don't like some of the play calling that was done today either, but nevertheless, round of applause for our photographer, Patrick Snyder. Again, I know you guys aren't loving these pictures because you're not seeing what you want to see, which are Carolina Panthers scoring, but we can't show you what didn't happen today. And I think we actually might have a few more. Yeah, we got a few more. We're going to go through here. Another tight end, Mitchell. And we got one bonus picture here that we're going to end on. I need my sound effects to be working here. Dun, dun, dun. And there we have Bryce Young at the podium speaking. And we're going to have some highlights from that I'm going to share with you guys here in just a second as we're going to show and share some of the clips from that press conference. Again, get you in the know for the latest news regarding this awesome, actually, of course, that's being facetious, Carolina Panthers team as they again fall here in New England with a final score of, what was it, 42, 45? I forget the score at this point. It's not even up on the screen anymore. But it was too much, too little. We're going to talk about some of the scores around the league. Let's go ahead and actually get that ready. I'm going to tell you guys some scores from around the league. Let's see. Scores from around the league. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Scores from around the league. We're just going to go NFC South. The Washington Commanders suffered a loss to the Atlanta Falcons. So the Atlanta Falcons rebounding from their shutout against the Carolina Panthers by beating the Washington Commanders. And the New Orleans Saints were suffered a defeat to the Buffalo Bills. New Orleans score was 19, Buffalo 31. And then Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were leading and still are leading the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31. I'm sorry. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly 31 and Tampa Bay 25. So that's the final score there. Let me fix my little pocket square for you guys. I want to dress it all up for you guys today. They could have won, right? Your boy actually added the pocket square, but let's go ahead and take a look at the standings for the NFC South here. In just a second, I'm going to give you that. And then we'll go into Dave Canales and his talking with the media today. NFC South, so Tampa Bay stays up top. Tampa Bay leads the NFC South with a 3 wins, 1 loss, followed by Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons are now at 500, 2-2 in second place. And your Carolina Panthers are solidly in third place at 1-3. And then the New Orleans Saints are 0-3. Is that right? 0-4. 0-4. So you got Tampa, Atlanta, Carolina, and then New Orleans. That's your order currently in the NFC South early on, right? So if you want to be optimistic, which I'm not going to spend much time doing at all, Carolina Panthers still very much in contention. But obviously there's lots of troubles going on. All right, so let's go ahead and get to this press conference from one Coach Dave Canales. So give me a moment, and I should be able to get into this. One second. We're going to play some excerpts from Coach Dave Canales. and I see that we got a super chat. I appreciate the super chat. We're going to get into that super chat here in just a second. Yeah, we're going to get through a few more things here. And give me just a second, guys. We're going to go to Coach Canales here, as it looked like he took some of the blame for things that happened today. So I want to cue this up. All right, here we go. We're going to get this going here in just a split second. There we go. Nope, that's not the screen I want to show you guys. Let's go to this one. There we go.
Team effort like this, I have to put that on myself. I have to look at how I'm preparing the team, how we're going about our work.
You want to spot the camera?
Look at that and compete to find an edge to get these guys to work together, to focus, so we can get the execution that we're seeing happen in our processes. But it's the only way to work through these things is to go right back to work, to attack it head on. And, you know, with the guys, you know, I told them in the locker room, like, hey, a loss is a loss. We got to look at this stuff. We got to look in the mirror and figure out who we want to be as a team, so that we can get the execution that we're calling for and that we're looking for.
All right, so that was one of the clips from Coach Dave Canales talking about the taking some responsibility for the loss, and he also talked about the effort from these guys today, the effort that he saw from the Carolina Panthers. And I think it's clear, everybody out there watching this game, you know, effort, you didn't see it. You know, you could just talk about effort being on the tackles and the number of missed tackles that we had. You have, and I'm going to go through it a little bit later, but you had Dick Scorton that missed a tackle. You had Shaw Smith-Wade, which for Henry, as he was running down the sideline, instead of trying to tackle him or even push him out, I don't care how big you are, the guy's like right on the edge of the sideline, and he just goes to punch the ball out. And, you know, Coach Canales, I really strongly believe, talked about that just this week with the fact of how they go about trying to get the ball away from the other team. And that technique for doing that is the first guy to the player, you wrap him up, and then everybody swarms in, and then those guys try to get the ball out, punching it out. But Shaw Smith-Wade, I don't know why. Obviously, this guy's been a player that's been on the rise. He got that interception last week. And today, instead of trying to push the guy out of bounds, he just goes to hit the ball, and the guy goes and scores. There's another play where there's a score. Dang it, I'm forgetting because it's not yet part of my script. But let me go to some more comments that I have from Coach Dave Canales here as we work through everything. And then we're going to be getting to some of the questions that you guys may have. Give me a moment. All right. So we're going to go to some more Canales here. All right. This is on Canales taking some accountability for what happened today. And we're going to get this up here in just a second. I see B Stallion talking, Bryce, I'm sorry, MH, Loud Pack. We're going to get to you guys. Tyrone C. We're going to get to it. And then that super chat. We're going to get to that super chat as well here in just a second, all right? So here's Dave Canales on taking some responsibility for this game today. Here we go. That popped up the wrong one. Let's go to the right one. All right. My screens don't want to go right today. We're going to try one more time to get the right screen up, because that's not it. I feel like I'm having the same problems that Coach Canales is having. We're just going to not show it full screen, I guess, but you guys can take a listen here.
It's not enough. We have to be able to come out and execute for 4 quarters to become the football team that I believe we can become. And the work starts right now. You know, it starts with me. It starts with our coaching staff. The players understand as well. This is not acceptable. And this is something that we have to come together and make sure that we're together on this thing so we're pushing forward.
So we're also going to play the clip and him talking about his belief in Bryce Young. Is Bryce still his guy? And the internet wants to go slow. Come on, guys. Don't do this to me after a loss. Come on, Mr. Kraft. What's going on with your internet here at this moment? We need it to be working correctly. Come on, internet. Come on. Kraft, your team won. You don't have to cut the internet. Let's see here.
Played out, but I know we had a couple of shots at the guy, and he made a couple people miss, and then the rest of their blockers were in phase. So that's another part that we're gonna have to look at and value.
And it pauses again. All right, there we go. Keep on going.
I got to look at the film, honestly, to give you a true assessment of what that was like, whether it's a combination of the rush and the coverage. Were we in the right position? I'll be able to tell you more about that once I get to see the film. Absolutely. Counting on him to keep pushing us forward, counting on him to keep us on track. There were some near misses across the board, some penalties that put us in weird situations, a couple of protection issues, and one of them where he slipped and kind of put us in a bad situation. But I still feel that he's being confident out there. He's leading the group. He's getting us out there with good energy and focus, and so he'll continue to play.
All right, so I got to play one more clip that I'm going to share with you guys from Dave Canales' press conference. And I usually don't play this much of the press conference, but I got to play it because this team is in a very bad state, and I feel like a lot of this information you guys need to know about right now. Dave said he's still going to be the play caller for this team going forward, and then he also talked about some staff changes, if those will be coming. As you saw, I put that in my subject line. I keep saying subject line, in my title line. So I'm going to play this clip with Dave talking about some staff changes.
Executing our plan, with our base calls and some of the things on both sides, really. Again, to me, this game is about consistency. Can we consistently play good football? And today was not that. Today the Patriots played excellent football in all three phases, beat us that way, and that's when you get that type of a margin of victory, is when you're firing on all cylinders, in all phases. So that's something that we have to look at and make sure we're taking the right steps forward. Not right now, no, but we're going to look at all the stuff tomorrow, put our heads together, and make sure we're pushing forward the right way.
All righty, so I wanted to make sure I got that all out to you guys. He said, no, not right now, but we're going to look at everything tomorrow, and we'll continue to go forward. This is just Chris Jenkins' independent feeling right here, is that you have to make some staff changes. You have to find somebody. And did I say find somebody? Yes, you do, because this is a franchise that is now going into the depths of very dark times, right? We all know that this is the 10-year anniversary from that 2015 season. And, of course, the season started with a lot of optimism and people doing tributes to that 2015 season. I know you guys have talked about when are they going to honor Cam Newton and stuff like that. You had the win last week, which I think a lot of Panther fans didn't say, hey, I'm buying what you're selling. I'm going to enjoy this victory. I'm going to enjoy this 30-0 shutout. I don't know if the rain is about to come, but nobody went to say, okay, this is it. We have arrived. Certainly felt like we could compete on a week-to-week basis, and you didn't see that today. So you cannot tell me that as the head coach of this team that's responsible for the culture change, that's responsible for the positivity, that's responsible for, at the end of the day, victories. You got one of them, and you got 3 losses. And all the 3 losses are just as ugly as could be. The Arizona game gave you promise about how they came back, but we all know that game featured a lot of, I'm just going to say soft defense. I don't know why I'm at a loss of words. Featured a lot of soft defense. And you can't continue to do that. All right, well, I did get a super chat. I want to go back to that and acknowledge that super chat. We are independent media, 100% supported by you guys and your contributions. So let me give the little super chat acknowledgement there.
Super chat.
Thank you very much, Loud Pack. We need a new quarterback. So we're going to talk about that quarterback situation here in just a second, because we're about to go over the stats. I'm going to also just tell you a few clips from Bryce when he was at the podium. So let me go ahead and show you that right now. As far as Bryce Young, he just said it's all us. We have to get better. And he just said we need to execute a lot. So actually, let me just play the beginning. Looks like from Bryce, the only significant thing that we had to take away from that. And shout out to Hunter Bailey. He's back in Charlotte helping feed me in my ear the cues from Dave Canales as well as Bryce Young, as well as the information that comes from the locker room. So though you only see me on the screen, there's Hunter Bailey back in Charlotte that's helping me with information in my ear, and our photographer Patrick Snyder is somewhere on this field getting you the images, feeding you the images that you see here. So again, thank everybody for their support. I know it's hard to ask for it monetarily during times like your team's struggling at 1-3, but if you do like it, if you do want to support myself as I continue to grow this company, there's a way to do it. Cash App, C-Vibe, that's in the description. Super Chat, even if it's $1, I'll take it. It helps us continue to do what we do and cover this team. Let me go ahead and play the beginning of the Bryce Young conference, and that'll get us through all of that stuff right there. So give me just a second. Let's play Bryce Young.
So it's all of us that can do. Miss some stuff. I take accountability for that. It's on me. Miss some opportunities. We'll watch film, and I'll be better. I'll be ready. We just have that next week mentality. It's not fun right now, of course, but we have another one next week, which is a blessing. So we have to learn from the tape, own it, wear it, but after 24 hours, we wash it and make sure that next week we'll be the best version of ourselves.
All right, so I'm going to cut that there for Bryce Young. But, one thing that I do like about what I just saw from Bryce there, I still did not see the defeat in his eyes and his body language that I have seen in previous seasons, but last year. Last year, his body language, it of course, is not positive there. He just got his butt whooped, right? So you don't expect the guy to just stand up there and smile. But the body language there, to me, does not look like he's defeated. Does not look like Dave Canales absolutely must bench him. Definitely feel like Bryce Young and Dave Canales needs to have some kumbaya moments to get things back on track. But right now, that's where they are. So let's go ahead and look at some of the stats from today's game. Here we go. We'll go ahead and start with the rushing. Carolina Panthers did manage to get over 100 yards rushing on the day, led by Chuba Hubbard. In rushing, we actually did pretty fair on this game. But you know what happened, right? Unfortunately, what happened is the same thing that's been happening to us all season long, is that we actually rushed good, but we fell behind so big that we had to get away from the rush. But we still got in 28. Chuba again leads with 49. Trevor Etienne with nice running as well, 7 for 33 on a 4.7. Rico Dowdle getting in there with the carries as well, 9 for 32, 3.6. David Moore with his long carry. Again, got hurt on that play, was out for the game. And then Bryce Young. So that's 129 yards rushing between those four for the Carolina Panthers today. I see some questions coming. I ask that you guys continue to leave those questions as we're going to work through them all. We're going to work through this. Tedrold McMillan is obviously 100% Bryce Young's favorite guy. I don't like that too much, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a second. Tommy Tremble was next with 8 receptions. I'm sorry, that was 8 targets, 5 receptions. And then you have Bryson Tremaine, Mitchell Evans, Chuba Hubbard, James Mitchell, Hunter Renfro. I'm going to read this list one more time, and I'm going to see if you guys see what I'm going to be going here. Your leading receiver on targets, yards, Tedrold McMillan. Next, you have Tommy Tremble, who's a tight end. You have Bryson Tremaine, who is a wide receiver with 3. Okay. Mitchell Evans, tight end. Chuba Hubbard, running back. James Mitchell, tight end. And then you have Hunter Renfro all the way down here at the bottom. Like, I don't like this. So this changed a little bit. This didn't look like that the entire game. But what I don't like is I feel like, and I'm going to spend a lot of time looking at this film, analyzing it, dissecting it so I can have a stronger opinion about what's going on or more detail to support my thoughts. But here's what I don't like. I don't like that Tetairoa McMillan is getting everything. And then after Tetairoa, we got our tight ends. Okay, Bryson Tremaine, can we get him involved? He did have, what was it, 4 targets. And again, I feel like that came later in the game. That was not the case most of the game. I can assure you that. It was tight ends and running backs. Why on earth did we have this wide receiver room that everybody felt was crowded? And it was crowded. Adam Thielen, okay, they shipped him off to Minnesota. That reduced it. Jalen Coker, he got put on IR. That reduced it. Xavier Legette, he's hurt. He's not on IR. That reduced it. But with all that depth, you still have Bryson Tremaine. You still have Hunter Renfrow. Why is Hunter Renfrow again, I got to go back to the film to be 100%, but I feel like Hunter did not have any receptions in that first half. None. No targets in that first half. And then riddle me this, Coach Dave Canales, why did Hunter Renfrow go in at the end of the first half to field the punt as if he's like, okay, the secret weapon, right? Oftentimes you got a guy that's a good wide receiver. Maybe he's not the rookie anymore, but he's dynamic. So you really need something big. So you put him back there, right? So that's my deduction from putting Hunter Renfrow out there at the end of the first half. And you have him return a punt, but yet you can't get him the ball in any pass plays. And I'm not saying Hunter Renfrow is the key to everything. I'm not saying Hunter Renfrow is going to help stretch the field. But why are you not using your other wide receivers that much? Why is it all like Tetairoa McMillan or nothing? Especially when we're struggling like we are. Bryce did get the ball around, but it was like check down Bryce, right? You guys know I post the passing charts every Monday, so look for that passing chart tomorrow. I can't wait to see it. I feel like we're back to Bryce Young first 2 weeks of 2024 where it's like dink, 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 dink. Oh, Tetairoa McMillan, you can go more than 10 yards, but everybody else, dink. That's why you're hitting the tight ends, right? That is exactly why you're hitting the tight ends. That is exactly why you're hitting the running backs. It's because these guys are swinging out the backfield. They're holding blocks and they're releasing, and they're doing short routes, and that's who you're throwing it to. What about the pressure? Again, I'm going to go back and look at the tape. He was under pressure, but I still know that the wide receivers aren't slow. You can hit these wide receivers further than 5 yards down the field. All right, that's me on my soapbox. Let's go ahead and talk about Bryce Young. His performance today, 18 of 30, 150 yards, 5-yard average. I'm just going to stop this right here. 1 TD, 0 interception, an 84 rating. Andy Dalton comes in. He's 5 of 6 for 58 yards, a 9.7 average, and a 1 touchdown. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a minute here. And I want you guys in the comments to tell me what you're thinking when you're looking at this graphic. All right, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking as I'm looking at that graphic. Deja vu. Deja vu, right? Like last year when in Las Vegas, you saw a whole completely different offense when Andy Dalton first came back. And I'm not saying Andy Dalton is the answer. Okay, he's an older guy. He's like a patchwork kind of guy. He's a mentor kind of guy. He is not your key to the future, right? You need a key to the future. Why is Bryce not getting the ball down the field and Andy Dalton's getting the ball down the field? Oh, well, it was later in the game. Well, it was late in the game. The game was out of control the entire day after the punt return. But, yeah, it's just some questionable things there. Hey, I'm going to continue to ask for some super chats. We get 3. The goal is 3 every show. And I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $100. Love it if it's $100, right? But this team is struggling. But we want to stay on the air the entire time, right? We want to bring you the updates about this team, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And I know because they're bad, you may not want to say, hey, I'm going to give this much. But if you can give $1, Cash App, whatever, it helps us to continue to grow and do what we do. All right, let's go ahead and look at the defensive side, we got Nick Scott that led us with tackles, Sean Robinson, and you got one sack. You got Turk Wharton, who's back. Got a sack. Derek Brown with 4 tackles. Mike Jackson. Yeah. There you have it. There you have it. Let me go through some of my notes, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the show going through the comments, all right? I owe you guys that to go through the comments. Give me just a second. Just want to make sure there's nothing coming out the locker room. Texting my sources here to make sure I get you guys all the information, because we covered the press conferences, covered the photos, covered the stats. Just want to make sure that I got all the information that's coming out of the locker room, and then we're going to go. Then we're going to go through your comments here before we get off air. All right, some things that I want to talk about. Special teams doomed the Carolina Panthers this week. We had an outstanding special teams game last week, which helped that 30-0 score. And then we had the complete opposite on our special teams today, starting with that punt return. That punt return obviously took the Carolina Panthers out of it. That was an uppercut, jab, whatever you want to call it, a combo. They took that 88 yards for the touchdown, and then they proceeded to score on their next 3 possessions, building a big lead. And it was another punt that was not returned for a touchdown, but that punt was returned about 60-something yards. During that punt, you saw more poor tackling. And to me, yes, somebody tripped him up, but it seemed like it was all more the player maybe just got tired and couldn't keep his balance more than it was him being tackled and not making that punt. I'm sorry, not taking that punt for a touchdown. And then we had problems on our own. We had Trevor Etienne to my right over here on a punt return who decides to field the ball inside the 5. Okay, you're going to field the ball inside the 5. Run it. Run the ball once you field it inside the 5. No, he gets the ball. He does a little bit of dancing and slips, and now you got the ball inside the 5. That's not it. That's not it. You also have Fitzgerald, who was 100% prior to the day, misses the extra point after scoring that first touchdown that happened here to my left. That's not it. You then had a field goal attempt, and I'm not so mad that he missed the field goal. I think it was a 55-ish, 56-ish, right? It wasn't a gimme by any means. He certainly has demonstrated, though, that he has the leg for it. But, man, after he missed that one, I said, is something in his head? Because as soon as he kicked that ball, and you saw it go straight up in the air, you're like, there's no way that's going 55, whatever, how many yards he needed it to go for that field goal. And it was short. It was well short. It's like, man, he did not kick that ball right. So special teams today was a complete flop from what it was last week, and that hurt us quite a bit. Coaching decisions today by one Dave Canales. You could talk about the play calling. I'm going to talk about the play calling. Why on 3rd and 10 do you go and hand the ball off? Why? You're trying to get closer to then kick a field goal or something? I mean, 3rd and 10, you hand the ball off. And then I think the other one was a 3rd and 15. I know it was 2 third and very long plays, and he, goes to hand the ball off up the middle. And, of course, we don't get it. Well short. Did not like that. And I always kind of touched on this before. Hunter Renfrow went out to return a punt at the end of the first half. Again, if he's that dynamic of a player where you feel like a need to put him out there on special teams to help you out and give you a boost, why don't you do something to get him the ball on offense? Why don't you do a jet sweep to Hunter Renfrow? Why don't you do something to get him a screen? Why don't you do something for Hunter Renfrow if you feel like he's that dynamic of a player, okay? But let's go back. So even after that, Hunter doesn't call a fair catch. He runs. Clock runs out, but they review it and say, no, put 2 seconds back on the clock. Okay, riddle me this for the play after that. So you put Hunter out there. You get some yardage gained. Maybe you were hoping you could get in close enough for a field goal that you didn't try. But the next play that you do, you throw it, little dump pass, and I believe it was your tight end. I'm not 100% on who the player was that caught it, but he just runs the ball like he has time left on the clock. He doesn't go to flick it back, throw it back to anybody. What the heck is that about? What are we doing? Like, this is that top-down thing where you say, like, some changes have to be made, right? Dave Canales is not going to be fired right now, but Dave Canales, along with Dan Morgan, can make some changes. And some changes need to happen. I talked about the missed tackles from Nick Scott squirting. And Nick Scott on his play, he got called for tripping. That was pretty bad. All right, so that's it for me in terms of everything I want to touch on immediately after the game. Just got a Cash App donation, so I appreciate you very much from Kale. Appreciate you, Kale. We're going to give a little round of applause for that support there with that Cash App donation. So we got 2 out of 3. Maybe we'll get one more before we get out here, one more super chat. And there's a lot of helicopters flying around here in Foxborough, I guess, as the rich takes their helicopters back to the city. But let me go ahead and work some of these comments here before I get out here. Again, appreciate everybody that's tuning in, sticking with me here. We're going to do it every week. Hopefully different results. But what we're going to do every week, Charlotte Vaught, myself, Chris Jenkins, and our team, is to continue to bring you coverage like you see from no other covering this Carolina Panthers team. We go live for the point of interacting with you. I like to say you have a friend of the media. So tomorrow we're going to have a show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow's show is the purpose of being your therapy, being your vent session, being your questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. That is what I will talk about. Now, a little bit of the show, I will go over the recent press conferences and other updates that we may get about these injuries, because we did have quite a few injuries today. So I will touch on those injuries before I start to read these comments, because I forgot to do the injuries. We had quite a few. We had David Moore, which injured his elbow. He left that game, did not return. Guard Chandler Zavala had a knee that he was dealing with today. Wide receiver Dalvin Campbell went out. I don't have his exact injury that is listed here. And then we had defensive tackle Cam Jackson had left 1 point with a knee. So that was 4 injuries that we had during the game. Just some notes from the locker room. J.J. Jansen spoke to the media, speaking that he still has a ton of confidence in Fitzgerald as a kicker. He said, obviously, there's highs, there's lows, and that's just something that happened today. Chuba Hubbard, every week you have to treat it as its own season. We still have a lot of season left to go. It's a quote from Chuba Hubbard there in the locker room. And then Derek Brown says, if the Panthers want to be a player-led team, it does not matter what the coaches call. Again, Derek Brown saying that this team wants to be player-led. It doesn't matter what the coaches call. All right, so that's obviously a guy that's sticking up for his coaches, which he should, which I don't, if these guys start criticizing the coaches, that's going to be a very bad place. It's going to take us back to the Matt Rule era. But, yeah, player-led in terms of discipline, holding each other accountable, missed tackles, that's where that comes in, improvement-wise, when you're a player-led team. But the plays that are being called still affects the team, right? If the plays being called aren't suitable for what you're going up against, then you're in trouble, right? If you're calling nothing but screens and short passes, you're not giving your quarterback the protection that he needs, that's a little tough, right? So those are some comments out of the locker room. And let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time going over you guys' questions here. So always got to go to our members first. T. Green. These players are faking injuries to get out of the game. It's not that. I haven't seen any guys look questionable in what they're doing. I know Xavier has been criticized, but to me, Xavier looks pretty legitimate with the injuries that he's dealing with. And Dowdle can go, so you guys are talking about people that can go here. All right, T. Green looks to be our only member that's in here right now. T. Green says Adams should have stayed here. Minnesota not working out for him. But I'm sure he's happy to be home, even though it may not be working out. And then we had Tyrone C. We got Chance Hines. Wow. We sucked in every aspect of the game. Yes, we did, my friend. Yes, we did. every aspect of the game. I mean, our rushing was better, but we couldn't do it after the first daggone possession because defense and special teams didn't give us the chance that they gave us last week. So, you know, things happen. And then we had Darrell, another member here. So our members weren't here. Sorry about that. Canales' play calling on third down was trash. Let's go ahead and look at the third down situation since you say that. I got additional stats that we could talk about here. Third down play calling was trash. Well, yeah, heck, I guess I already talked about it myself when I mentioned the fact that we got third and long and we're handing the ball off up the middle. That's just – yeah, because we got this dominant defense, right? Third down conversions. We were 5 of 14 for 36%. We went for it on fourth down 3 times, converting just 33%. Yeah, I wonder if I can tell you guys special team yardage really quickly because, I mean, they kicked our butts there. I don't have my glasses on to really be able to see that good enough to tell you that. But, yeah, I'm sure it was pretty terrible. Appreciate the comment there, Dorrell. Chance Hines, we need to fire special teams coach. Yeah. What else we got here? Somebody needs to tell Bryce that he needs to show up. I'm sorry. Somebody tell Bryce he needs to show some leadership to the fans too. He might be great behind closed doors, but he's wallpaper paste in front of microphones. It feels like an insult. Okay. So you want more from Bryce in front of the microphone. What are you wanting from Bryce? Just curious. I'm not criticizing. I'm just wanting to know what would you like to see Bryce look like in front of the microphone, Ben? Let me know. There's time for you to come back and talk about that. Yes, Zavala did go out with the injury. Indeed, he did. Coach Dave needs to stop being the player's buddy and be their coach. Now, I don't know if that's the case, that he's been their buddy, right? Because one thing I have liked about Coach Dave Canales is when he first came here and I was talking to him, he talked about, even with Bryce, but he talked about it with all of his players, getting a relationship with them so that as he's criticizing them, they can know that it's coming from a good place. And it's just better when somebody's criticizing and you feel like there's somewhat of a relationship there. I feel like he's telling these guys what they need to hear. I feel like he's saying, hey, we're making mistakes, but tomorrow we need to make new mistakes. But, you know, one thing to keep in mind, and not to just give him a pass by any means, but just for a little bit of perspective, this is Dave Canales' second year as a coach. It's just his second year. And his first coaching role, head coaching role, right? So he made the bold change last year with Bryce Young. That was bold. That's what you have to do as a head coach. Not be afraid to be bold and make sure you just do whatever is best for this football team. Not for that person, but for this football team. So Dave Canales, the next thing that you need to do is you need to send a message to this team. I feel like that is by far what needs to happen, right? Because you can have the nice guy mentality, you can have the positivity, you can have all the energy. But right now your ship is sinking. And you don't have to turn into a different person. But you have to demonstrate to the fans, you have to demonstrate to this team, you have to demonstrate to your organization that this football team's success is paramount more than anything. So if a part of your organization is weak, whether you guys want to say that's a special teams coach, whether you want to say that's the defensive coordinator, I don't care what you say, but you make changes to send a message to show that you are about getting W's. Eat them W's, that's Jameson say. And so that's what we need to see. You know, if he doesn't make one this week, then I would be pleading pleading for him to make one next week if they lose to the Miami Dolphins, right? And not if they lose like 20-17, but if they have a typical way that they've been losing all season, where it's just a shellacking. If they lose like that to the Miami Dolphins, Dave Canales, you have to make some changes. You have to, whether it's getting rid of players, like you have to make some. You cannot expect anybody to think things are going to get better if there are no changes at all made to this team and this organization at this point. And we're going to continue to be in the locker room, okay? So we're going to continue our coverage tomorrow. Tuesday's our day off, and then we'll go through the rest of the week. I'll be in the locker room. I'll be at the stadium, continue to bring you guys coverage about this Carolina Panthers team and where they're going. Chris works hard for this mid team. I appreciate all you do, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You know, we're at the end of the show now, so I can be a little bit more. Well, I'm always me, which I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, like I'm not trying to sugarcoat how fans should feel, but it's like, dang. Can I travel to a city, have a good night's sleep, see some new culture, see some new places, and then leave with a victory? You know, I come in a full suit and apparel, and I come out and I have a good show lined up for you. The pregame show was great. Postgame show cannot be great when you lose like we did. And then it's like this team is not helping. But Tyrone, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you very much. Try to get through a couple more. We got about 4 more minutes that we'll be on here, see what questions we see. Bryce is a game manager, not a game changer. If he gets down, the game is over. Second Dave play call on this game was terrible. Yeah, Bryce, let's go ahead and talk about Bryce. Again, I forget the exact number, 6 of 6, 6 of 7, but he was pretty darn good that first drive. And then after that, man, it was like so many times he makes a play, and I'm like, what are you doing? Where was that ball going to? I mean, you throw it over a guy's head. You'll one hop it to him. And then you had the 4th down play. Great call. Tedero McMillan, I forget the exact route, but he ends up going down the sideline, going past his man. He's open. And Tedero, man, I keep getting mixed feelings about how you go for the ball sometimes, like a lot of times with one hand. And then you go for it with two hands, and the ball goes through your hands. But, again, I'm okay with Tedero. But this 4th down play, he goes to Tedero, and he overthrows it. So it's like, where's that coming from? Where is that amount of inconsistency from a guy who, coming out of Alabama, was like, yo, Bryce can put the ball in places. Yo, Bryce got some off-schedule throws. I don't know how you lose all that because maybe your relationship with your coach isn't in sync, isn't right. I mean, allegedly they sit down and they talk about these plays, what's going to be our scripted plays, what are we going to do after the script, what do you like? And for that to be the case and we're here, it's like, geez, I don't know. I don't know, but something has to change. But that Bryce's throwing today after that first drive was just erratic. It was erratic. And it's not going to win you enough games by any means. All right, B Stallion, you're going to take us out of here. This is the last one. Again, if I didn't get to you tonight, we're going to come back on tomorrow, back in Charlotte, 7 p.m. show. Going to be dedicated to talking to you all. I like to say you have a friend in the media, which is myself, Chris Jenkins, credential member of the media. Chris, our Panthers showed up today. It was good while it lasted. Now the questions are, is Bryce Young the quarterback we need going forward? Does anyone aside from T-Mac play wide receiver? Where's the D? What can be done? Help. B Stallion took all the words out of my mouth. Bryce Young and his position as the starting quarterback certainly needs to be challenged. Don't know if you can challenge it right now, but after the season, absolutely. Him as a QB1 needs to be challenged. Defense needs to be challenged, which, in my opinion, strongly goes to Coach Evero and what he's doing. And the other wide receivers do exist, and that goes to the play calling and the routes that these guys are running. And again, that's where I have to go back and really, really look at the film and say, okay, well, they're not running these routes, or they are running these routes and they're available, they're open, and Bryce isn't hitting them because the play destined for T-Mac. I don't know. I do not know. Let me end with a little promo for you guys. I do my one-on-one interviews each and every week. Hopefully you guys are tuning in and checking them out. This one I did with Corey Thornton. It's already up online. If you hadn't checked it out, please go to our playlist. It's a playlist on YouTube. So if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, just Google Charlotte Vibe on YouTube. The channel will come up. You will see that we have by far the greatest number of one-on-one player interviews of any independent media. We have a ton of them. And just this past week, I sat down with Corey Thornton.
High school, I played receiver.
Uh-huh.
Towards my senior year, I switched to cornerback. I wasn't really good, but I worked hard at it, worked hard, got my first offer in the weight room. I was grinding. So, yeah. I'm like that, a receiver, too.
Okay. Good stuff. All right, so make sure you check out that interview. That is it. The Carolina Panthers fall to 1-3. They return to Bank of America Stadium next week in Charlotte to take on the Miami Dolphins. That's a 1 p.m. kickoff. We will be there to cover it. I'm Chris Jenkins reporting live from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts for Charlotte Vibe.